Hello and welcome to the new part of Altium Designer. In this part, I'm going to teach you how to build a library in Altium Designer. First, click on File and New in Library, click on Library. Click on Integrated Library, and after that Create, and they add the schematic library and PCB library. I right-click on the name of the Integrate library and add New Project and add a schematic library and PCB library. Okay, after you create an integrated library and schematic library, you save the name of your schematic library in PC by left-click on the name and save as the library. And I save this when we open the schematic page, and you can. One page is open it, the name is SCS Library. In this page, you edit the component of your schematic or edit your pieces, or delete a component or add in some component. For example, I add another component, for example, component number 2, and another one is places, for example, you draw your draw. Design your piece, and for example, add to a schematic page or test your pieces in the PlayStation. There are a series of tools to design a piece. For example, I click in Tools and I click on Place. I click on Sample. In the sample, there's some sample of the pieces, for example, or gate, or X, or gate, or dot, or etc. I click on or gate and add a or gate in the schematic page, and I click a tab. And the Properties window is open in this page. In Location, you change the location. For example, change the pieces in Schematic page, and in Properties and Sample, you change the sample of your pieces, for example. I change to X, and then in Sizes, you change the size, for example. I change it to 200 millimeter, or I change to 100 millimeter, and in Line. You change the body of your pieces, for example, a smallest or smaller, medium, and large. Example like this, and in color, you change the color of your pieces, for example. I change to yellow or black. And another tool is pin, and by using the pin, you can design the pieces of the part. For example, I add the XOR gate, I change the line. And I add a pin to XOR gate, for example. I add to pin, and I click on tab, and the Properties window is open. In Designator, you choose the number of your pin number, for example. I choose a 1, and I click, and in Name you choose, for example, your name of your pin, for example. I use a change to VCC. And another one I change, for example, to, for example, G-online diagram. And another tool is ARC. It makes a circle in the schematic. First click U, and you can make the series scale or large or smaller circle, or in the second click, you change the size of your circle, for example, a biggest or a smaller. And another one is for circle, and it's line. For example, you make some pieces with line. For example, I make a square with line, example like, and another place is this, and this is for make a square, for example, like this. Make a big square or a smaller square, and another one places is the polygon U. For example, you draw in your square, for example, like this, or change the color, for example, smaller or large, or change the color, for example. I change to red or change another. For example, I change to white and change the color to white, and inside the squares change. And in other places is Bezier, for example. You draw with Bezier, for example, make a square or half a square. And another one is text, for example. You text your name of your, for example, I change my name of the pieces. Right, it's, or on click, it's the name of my pieces. And another component is text frame, for example, you. Write some text frame, for example, note or another. And another place is a graphic, for example. You add some photo in your schematic page. I add some photo in the schematic page. I add a module relay in schematic page. For example, you change the size in schematic page. For example, you change the size big or small. This part of tutorial is over.